What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioner's Clubhouse on the LCC Network for week 30 of the fantasy offseason. It's really hard to believe we're 30 weeks into this, but regardless, we're here for another player episode for you guys after doing our previous episode of the Fantasy 4, or I guess technically Fantasy 5, since we did 5 teams last week. But anyways, with us today, we've got Jameson and Isaac. How's it going, guys?
What's up? I just want to say thank you to the people that listened to our last show. It meant a lot to us. You guys got some good knowledge. Keep listening.
Yeah, Isaac sent us a picture of him crying because he was so happy. There were tears running down his face.
I was so happy, man.
He was happy to see that. We were happy to see that. This show, we've got linebackers, so we're going back to our positional rankings as we kind of move toward the draft, move into August. Linebackers this week, defensive backs next week. We've been waiting a long time to do this episode, and we're really excited. Patrick's been talking about it for weeks off the show. Been pumped. We've been working on these rankings all summer. We just had to adjust them very recently, so there might be some stuff in here we regret later, but we'll kind of get to some of that stuff.
Thanks, Mason
here.
Foster. You up our rankings from your release.
We did big time.
So we're gonna have fun, guys. Look at the graphic, and guys, I didn't put a sound drop on here to move us to our segment. I completely forgot to do that.
Rusty.
I am rusty. I've been busy. You know, I fell asleep at like 10 o'clock this week, which is insanely early for me. It's like 2 hours early. I normally fall asleep.
I'm about to say I fell asleep at 9:15. So
you're just an old man, Isaac.
Yeah,
that's all you are.
It's past my bedtime right now. It's 11 our time. So
we'll play a random sound drop to move us in here to our LB1s. Very similar to what we've done in the past.
That's what she said.
We'll go linebacker 1s. We'll kind of break them down, discuss them. Linebacker 2s and then linebacker 3s at the very end of the show. So here we go. We'll get into it.
I guess it really is just me, myself, and all my millions.
I guess that kind of makes sense because Bobby Wagner is in our top 12 and he got paid today from when
and Deion Jones recently got paid.
Deion Jones got paid last week. CJ Mosley got paid in the off season. Yeah, Quan got paid in the off season.
That works.
Devin White got his rookie deal, I guess. You know, so all these guys getting paid. So yeah, look at the graphic. Here we go. Darius
Spoiler.
Leonard.
God,
well, the graphic's on the screen right now. The graphic is on the screen.
Okay.
Darius Leonard, number 1, no surprise, consensus across the board. Deion Jones, number 2 across the board. Number 3, CJ Mosley in our consensus. Number 4, Luke Kuechly. Number 5, Bobby Wagner. Number 6, Leighton Vander Esch. Number 7, Blake Martinez. Number 8, Tremaine Edmonds. Number 9, Quan Alexander. 10, Levante David. 11, Corey Littleton. And 12, Devin White, the rookie, the first rookie to top our linebacker rankings here. So
what? Shout out Tampa.
So guys, we'll start with some of the negative before we jump into some of the things we have outlined here. Anything you want to briefly mention on any of these guys?
I mean, I don't think it's a shock. You know, our top 4, our top, or really our top 5. I mean, that's pretty much consensus. Some of those guys you could flip flop, I'm sure. Some of us did between the 3 of us, but it's pretty much consistent with most IDP rankings you're going to go out there and find. I'm very confident. I think we're all very confident Deion Jones, Darius Leonard are top 2 guys, right? And then after that, things get a little murky.
I mean, but for this first part, I mean, so far it's pretty close. But when we get in the second and third part, we're way off. So,
yeah,
I mean, that was a real challenge to put a really good consensus together because there were some guys we really disagreed on, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it gets a little wonky there, but it's all fun. I think it makes it even better. All right, we'll kind of start with what we've got here on the show doc. Any of these top 12 guys that we could see falling out of linebacker 1 territory and into linebacker 2 or 3 territory. Pat, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'll start mine off. It's a guy actually my personal rankings did not have in the top 12. I had him at 13, so just outside of it. Not a big difference. But Devin White, the reason why I have him at number 13 on my list, and the reason why he's not probably higher on our list, is because of the fact he is an unproven rookie. It's a guy that I'm always a little bit more hesitant than both of you are on rookie IDP players. And typically speaking, rookie linebackers historically don't produce LB1 numbers. In fact, before 2018, only one rookie LB had finished in the top 12 since 2020. Yeah, that was Telvin Smith. And that was all my research from 2015 to 2018. I couldn't go any further back based off our scoring system. But that's saying something. Telvin Smith is literally the only rookie linebacker to make it in the top 12. And I think I actually talked about this in a previous episode, like months and months back when we were talking about like top 10 rookie players in LCC history. There's a reason why only one linebacker made that list. And trust me, it doesn't happen a lot where you see a rookie LB finish in the top 12. So that's kind of why I'm a little hesitant to put him here, but I could see it happening for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with him. But, I mean, I even have him worse. As a Tampa Bay fan, I have him at
Yeah,
15.
Isaac has him lower. Yeah, that was surprising.
So, go ahead, James.
Yeah, it literally happened twice as many times last season as it had the seasons before with rookie linebackers finishing in the top 10, Tremaine Edmonds and Leighton Vander Esch. Now, he has the highest draft capital out of all of these guys being picked in the top 5. And on a team that historically, over the last few seasons, has produced very fantasy-relevant linebackers, which is where I think I lean towards him as talent and the fact that Tampa's been great with linebackers, with Levante David and Quan Alexander supporting two of those guys, over multiple seasons. But yeah, the unknown, the kind of the risk factor there certainly exists with a guy like Devin White. So,
wait, I got one more.
Okay.
One thing I do want to say was when I was doing a little bit of research about positions and everything, with us moving to a 3-4. I feel like that really, really hurt Devin White's value because left inside linebackers typically are more coverage linebackers, and they do not get that many. They're not as fantasy relevant as a right inside linebacker. Also, middle linebackers and right outside linebackers score more. So left inside linebackers score the least out of any linebacking position besides just your typical left outside linebacker. So, I mean, that was another reason I took into account just based off of when I meshed all the players together, just what I saw trend-wise, it kind of made me nervous to put him so high.
Yeah, there's definitely some concern there. And I feel kind of bad, like having him as the very first player that we're talking kind of negative about, given the fact that he opens the show for us like every week now. So I feel really bad about that.
But I think we all agree, though, out of all of the rookie IDP players, he has the brightest future. And I'm not saying Devin White can't be, even a top 5 LB in the next 3 years, because I think it probably can happen and probably will happen, honestly. But just as a rookie, I don't know if I feel comfortable him at number 12 or in our top 12. I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I will say real quick, he definitely could win defensive MVP or not defensive MVP, rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year next year and this year in real life. So we're not saying he's not going to be a great player. It's just as far as IDP fantasy wise, he just with the positions and all that stuff, he took a hit, not necessarily based off his talent and what we believe he will be in Tampa.
Jameson's got him at number 9. So Jameson's like real.
As far as me and Patrick.
We as in those two, yeah. So,
the most important people.
Okay.
Shots fired.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. All right, Isaac, who do you have as your linebacker that could fall out of the top 12?
Well, it kind of hurts me to say, but it's a ex-Tampa Bay linebacker. It's no other than Quan Alexander. He plays for San Francisco now. I'm sure you all know his injury history. When he's out there, the man is an animal. Like, he is absolutely dominant. If you watch him, I remember one play I'll never forget when he was running stride for stride with Julio Jones and just ripped the ball away from him like a man and a child, and just took the ball. Like I just never seen Julio get manhandled like that. Like that was just absolutely crazy. But yeah, he's only had one healthy season out of 4 years. Not great. Missed 18 games in 4 years. That's a full season and cut into a second season. I mean, I would have put him, in the top 5 if I know he would be healthy. Like absolutely, because like I said, his talent is just really, really good. But it's just how many games is he going to miss this year? Can he stay healthy? I'm not worried about. And he's also coming off of a big injury. I believe he tore his ACL. Am I right, Jameson? Tore his ACL?
Last season,
Yeah.
I believe he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So, I mean, that's another injury that he's going to have to take it slow to make sure he doesn't re-injure it. So, just, I mean, best wishes to him. I hope he does good, even though he's not with us anymore. But yeah, so that's my guy.
So just to clarify, your biggest concerns, or really your only concern with him falling out of the top 12 is injury.
Yeah,
Right.
if he misses any
Yeah,
games,
for sure.
people will jump him. But if he's healthy, he's going to be top 5 locked.
Okay. All right.
So that's why I put him at 11, just right outside the top 10, based on like he's in the middle. He definitely can go up. Like of all these guys, I feel like he's the biggest one that could jump up out of our rankings, like jump up in our, he could be up there with CJ and Dion for sure.
Cool. Well, it's certainly possible. He hasn't finished as a top 12 DB or linebacker in 2 years. So, in the last 2 years, so it's certainly possible. My guy here, it's going to sound a little crazy to everyone that's listening, given his production in the last 2 seasons. And I obviously didn't project this because he is in the top 12 in our rankings. I've got him at number 10. So I still think he's going to be a top 10 guy. But of all the guys that could fall out of the top 12, I've got Blake Martinez, Green Bay middle linebacker there. So he finished number 7 last season. But when you break it down by average points per game, he was linebacker 12, which is the last linebacker in the LB1 territory. He had 98.6% of the team's defensive snaps last season, which puts him at 24th in the entire league. So not linebackers, not defensive players, the entire league, maybe outside of quarterbacks. I can't remember if quarterbacks were in that ranking or not. Meaning that he was on the field a lot. Green Bay was 21st in time of possession. They were 21st in opponent plays per game, which means that the Green Bay defense was on the field quite a bit. So he had a lot of opportunity. So I guess what I'm getting at is average points per game. He was LB 12, so teetering on that 1-2 category with tons of opportunity, more than almost anybody else. And now we've got a healthy Aaron Rodgers and a coaching staff that wants to run the ball. They've said they want to get Aaron Jones involved. So I think, again, there aren't any concerns. I have him at 10. But if there is a guy who could see regression, who could see less snaps and less opportunity, I think it might be Blake Martinez.
Yeah, I mean, I have him obviously a little bit higher than you guys. I mean, you guys were split right at 10. I have him at 5. I just put it as far as the rankings of where I think he'll finish, not necessarily my personal rankings. My personal, he's, around right where you put him at 10. But just consistently, he finished as a linebacker 2 and linebacker 7. I mean, those average together, he finishes around 5 for the past 2 years. And he's, like you said, he's always on the field, and he's very consistent. If anybody that you're worried about getting injured, it's really not Blake Martinez because he's always out there. So he's a very, very, very safe linebacking option that's going to give you very consistent numbers, but not really much boom games. But he's somebody you can rely on.
Yeah, if his snap count, his volume stays as high as it has, that's what makes him so great. But you're right, he doesn't boom, which means that he's not going to get those plays if his snap counts regress at all because Green Bay runs the ball, runs the clock, kind of pulls the ball to more where the defense is on the field less. He could see some regression. Again, we're not projecting it. He's a top 10 in all of our eyes. But if there was a guy that I had to pick, that's who I selected outside of Quan. So. Cool.
And I just want to say something real quick. I know you guys are probably looking like, why the hell do I have Luke Kuechly at 7? Well, for the past 2 years, he's averaged at a 7. In my eyes, he's top 3. It's Darius Leonard, Deion Jones, Luke Kuechly in my draft board. he's tied neck and neck with Bobby Wagner. I like them both better than CJ Mosley. But like I said, this is where we think that they're going to finish at the end of the year. And if Luke misses a couple games, which he has been the past couple years, 2 or 3, he could drop a little bit. He'll still be a linebacker 1. He'll still be top 10. But, like I said, he finishes right around a 7. So I just want to clarify that's not my personal ranking. That's where I think he will finish.
So in all fairness, as being a Panthers fan, I've always got to defend my boy. So he finished as linebacker 6 last season in the LCC, and he didn't play. He didn't miss any games except for week 17 where he was pulled because the Panthers were out of the playoffs. They pulled, CMC, Cam wasn't playing, Luke didn't play. So he still finished as LB6 and didn't even play in week 17 and didn't miss any games last season. So, but he definitely has an injury history, concussion history. And I think with concussions, those things are certainly able to kind of rear their ugly head a lot more often for players like linebackers, for sure. So that definitely is a risk.
Yeah, like I said, that was no shots at him at all. Like, he's, in my eyes, like I said, top 3 arguably. So it wasn't a shot at him. It was just where I thought he might finish with some of these other guys that I think they're probably with their previous rankings where they will rank.
All right, guys, on to our linebacker 2s here. So this is where it gets wild. So starting off at number 13, you can see the graphic here. Joe Schobert, 13 consensus. 14 is Devin Bush, another rookie here. 15.
Oh, boo. You didn't play the sound drop. What's wrong with you, Jameson?
Dude, man, I've been working all week. I'm just worn out. It's been a rough week for me, guys. Like, in a good way.
All right, we'll play it.
Boom. There we go. There we go. Roquan Smith at 15. Anthony Hitchens at 16. Miles Jack at 17. Kiko Alonso at 18. 19 is Demario Davis. 20, Wesley Woodyard. 21, Jalen Smith. 22, Jordan Hicks. 23, Alec Ogletree. And 24, Christian Kirksey. Guys, there are some names in here. Guys like Kiko Alonso, who finished as top 10 linebackers last season, that we have at 18. Guys like Miles Jack, who were like 30 last season, that we have at 17. We got some explaining to do, I think, as we move through the linebacker.
Well, I mean,
twos.
Yeah.
The Miles Jack was pretty obvious. I mean, Telvin Smith said he's not playing this year for personal reasons, whatever. So Miles Jack is going to have a lot of tackles to eat up.
Jalen Smith.
I didn't have him.
Number 10, all the way to 21.
Jalen Smith.
Jalen
Yeah.
Smith. Yeah.
Anyway, back to Miles Jack. He's going to have a lot of tackles to eat up. I have him a little bit later than you guys. At first, I had him right there with you. But the more I thought about it, I'm just like, he's just going to disappoint me and finish as just like a 30 points per game linebacker. So I dropped him back to 23. I'm done with Miles Jack.
30 points a game.
Yeah.
Man,
So
30 points a game is still pretty solid.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's still top 25.
Oh, easy.
But there was just,
30 points. I'm just trying to see where
Yeah.
30 points a game would have him. So if he was 30 points a game, that's linebacker 19 last season. And we have him at 17 in a consensus. So I think we're all kind of agreed that he's a 30-point game. And Telvin Smith.
but that 30 is his high. That's not, that's not saying what I necessarily, that's what he's going to do. Like, that's his high. If he has the season he's going to have, his ceiling is 30, in my opinion. So he could definitely be, 28 to 30. Like, that's going to be his range because he's normally a 24 to 26 guy. So you can bump him up 2 points with Telvin Smith not being there. But you also have to think those safeties there had no tackles last year. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate again this year. So Miles Jack is also a coverage linebacker, so he's going to have to be covering tight ends and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see where all the tackles go in that defense.
No, yeah, it doesn't mean it. No, it absolutely doesn't mean they'll all translate to him. But there's how many tackles did Telvin Smith get last year? 115 or something like that?
Yeah, it was around 120.
So 120 vacated tackles. A guy who's consistently an LB, top 5 linebacker, top 10 linebacker. So there's a lot of hope for Miles Jack. I think we all felt kind of gross putting him as high as we did, and I own him, and I felt kind of gross about it.
Yeah, but so you guys are complaining like, dude, I don't think he belongs here. I feel comfortable where he's at.
I think
Right on mine.
I think he'll be higher than that, but I mean I think I like 17. Like 17, I think that's a good ranking for him. Some other guys we wanted to talk about. Isaac, which one of these guys could you see jump into the top 12? So move from linebacker 2 to linebacker 1 territory.
All right, let me get my essay out.
Oh.
So, it might be surprising for you guys. I know Jameson does not like him. It's Anthony Hitchens, right outside linebacker for Kansas City. 2018 finished as linebacker 18 with 29.6 points per game, so basically 30, and he missed a game. He was on pace for 144 to 86 to 58 stat line. So that's 144 tackles, 86 solo, 58 assists. So that pace would have put him with more tackles over Corey Littleton, who finished as a linebacker 2, Kiko Alonso, that finished as a linebacker 8, and Tremaine Edmonds, who finished as a linebacker 9. So, with that being said, he's a very reliable linebacker option. He only had 2 games under 20 points per game. He had 11 over 28, and then he had 8 games over 30. So, not saying obviously if you do the math, but if you look at it, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I'm saying these statistics. And also, the right outside linebacker position had the most out of the top 30 linebackers. I told you guys earlier when I jumbled all of them together. Right outside linebackers had the 23rd percent out of all of them, which is the second highest. They also had the second highest points per game. And just on top of it, he had one of the highest solo tackle ratings at 71% being solo tackles. And as we all know, solo tackles get more points. He's not a playmaker. He's not going to get forced fumbles. He's not going to get interceptions. And if he does, it's by a miracle. But he's going to get a lot of tackles, and that in this league is very valuable.
So just to clarify, Jameson doesn't not like Anthony Hitchens. I just like other guys more. I still like him. I just like other guys more. Just to clarify.
I thought you went when I said it.
Yeah, like because I got other guys higher, but I don't not like him. I think he's a solid LBT.
Yeah, but when they're listening and you're saying before I go into it, it's like, oh god,
no,
he
I don't
hates
hate
this
him.
guy.
I don't hate him. He was 18 or 19 last year. 18 in average points a game. 19 is where he finished, I think.
And you said 30 was solid. So
Yeah, that's what we just said with Jack around 19. I've got him at 21, so I've got him right there, right in that area. But
Isaac's way higher on him. Jameson's definitely the lowest. I actually had him right at 16, which is interesting. I feel like I'm kind of in between both of you guys. He's a guy that he's kind of like a poor man's Blake Martinez, is the way I look at Anthony Hitchens. He's a guy that's going to get a lot of tackles. He's going to be very safe for you, but don't expect him to be a guy that's going to, like, you're in a pinch, man, I need like 40 points this week. Don't expect Anthony Hitchens to be that guy for you. He's going to be very Blake Martinez-esque, in my opinion.
I was gonna say when I did the stuff, him and Blake Martinez were side by side in tackles. Like Blake Martinez had like 2 more. The only thing is Blake Martinez had 5 sacks or something like that, and Hitchens didn't. That's why he's higher. But as far as tackles wise, they're right there together, and they're both top 5 with tackles, projected tackles from last year.
he didn't have a single game over 40 points. Which speaks to his consistency, a lot like Blake Martinez. He's not a guy that's going to boom a lot, but a guy who's going to be fairly consistent from week to week.
And like I said, he doesn't bust that often either. He only had 2 games under 20, which is really, really solid. Honestly, I'll take those odds.
So this is your. Go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say the sad thing is by Anthony Hitchens though is like let's just pretend we didn't have keepers, which I'm not advocating for, but let's just pretend Anthony Hitchens would more than likely go in like the 6th round, pretty cheap, but you're going to be extremely satisfied with him. Versus this year, he's going to be more than likely a 1st round pick, possibly in one of the 2 conferences, which you never know. I mean, he could fall to the 2nd or 3rd, but that's just crazy to say out loud. This guy's going in the first 3 rounds in both conferences.
That's like saying Joe Schobert, who's going to go in our first round in ours. It's just like is this really what it came to? Our first round pick is Joe Schobert. Like, come on, we got to do something about that. I mean, that's just
That's a dynasty
But
league,
no,
man. That's how it runs.
yeah.
Lots of keepers, lots of taxi squad players.
all right. So, Pat, who you got? Speaking of Joe Schobert,
Yeah, speaking of Joe Schobert, this is a guy that I actually have in my top 12. I have him right at 12. James Isaac, I have him at 14. He is another guy who's very consistent. In fact, third best linebacker in 2017 with an average of 34.1 points per game. 2018, it dropped. He went to the 29th best linebacker in 2018, but there were injuries, and that's why. But his points for his average points per game dropped from, again, 34.1 to 31.5. So about 3-point difference. Not a big difference. It's not something I would, oh God, he's regressing. Like, I wouldn't jump overboard there yet. Again, missed 3 games last year, but he was on track to finish top 10 among linebackers, which is pretty good. And it's a guy who's consistently overlooked most of the time. And Cleveland's adapted a new defense, man, where they're running a 4-2-5, which means more opportunities for tackles in the box. In fact, that is the best way to beat a 4-2-5 defense, is to pound the rock. And I know some people are saying, well, this is a passing league now. That's just not necessarily the case. If you go back and look at the playoffs, the NFL playoffs last year, in the last 3 games of the season, there was an uptick in rushing attempts across the league, not just for one team or 2 teams. The majority of teams were increasing their rushing attempts per game. And I think that's going to be the best way to beat this tough, stingy Cleveland defense this year. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but it's going to be to run the football against them. And just by default, Joe Schobert is going to be racking up tackles. I'm extremely excited about that. It's going to be interesting. I mean, he's playing Mike linebacker. He's going to be forced to attack the ball. That is what the Mike linebacker does in a 4-2-5. They're the guy who's consistently going in there trying to make that play. And I'm extremely excited about Joe Schobert, and I think he's going to be a top 12 guy. But while other people are probably seeing him more as an LB2, I could see him as like a low-end LB1.
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
Well, just real quick to add on to that, one thing I saw with what I did is he had the second highest assist percentage, which means he gets a lot of assist tackles, which that's the only knock I could really find on Joe Schobert. He had the second highest. Eric Kendricks had the first, and it was by a large margin. Like, they were in their, I think he had 44% assist, so he was like almost 50-50 solo and assist.
But what I like about that statistic, though, Isaac, is the fact that means he is a ball hawk player. I don't mean that in like a playmaker guy. I mean that he's always on the ball. Think of Luke Kuechly in that sense, except obviously not putting up Luke Kuechly type numbers. That's what I like about him, is he's always there. He's only 1 or 2 steps away from being the solo tackle on that play, not just the assist. I think there's just, I don't know. I've been on Joe Schobert for a long time. I know, so I'm beating a dead horse right now. But
yeah, I was gonna say, because when I did it, I also looked at 2017, because I was like, well, maybe it wasn't just like that. No, it was the same exact thing for the back-to-back years. So it's like, I'm not saying that he's not relevant. I mean, I would love to have him too. I mean, I might get him into the first. I mean, who knows?
You might. Oh yeah, you're definitely getting him into the first. We've already mocked it out. You're getting him into the first.
Well, you mocked him out to me. I mocked me passing on him, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, right. We'll see what happens.
So anyway, but in like our other league that Cody, me, and the other 2 hosts are in, where assists and solo tackles are counted the same. Oh, his value is way higher in that league than this one. Yeah, for
sure.
Because I mean, that stat doesn't matter. Solo and assist tackle ratings don't matter. It just matters total tackles, and he's very consistent at that. So I just wanted to say that.
So real quickly, he was linebacker 13 in average points a game last season, which is where we have in the consensus. So he was already really close, and he only had 1 game below 22 points that he played. He played 13 games. Only 1 of them was below 22 points. So he's incredibly consistent when he's on the field. And kind of like Patrick said, I like that he's always around the ball, even if it is getting assists, to some degree. But I'm excited for him too. I don't think he's going to fall to me in the second round, unfortunately. because Isaac's going to get him in the first.
You
but
think
I'm
that?
excited for Joey Schobert. You're definitely. I've looked over everyone available. I couldn't imagine that you'd pass on Joe Schobert for anybody else.
Well, you'll be surprised. We'll see, because you'll see my latest
we'll see.
mock. It depends on who goes in front of me. 'Cause I got
You
my
should show it
eye
to
on
me. I
time.
haven't seen yours yet.
We'll go look on the show doc, but we'll talk about this after.
Okay.
So who's your guy?
Yeah, we'll talk about
Jameson?
this later. So my guy here, I've got Jalen Smith. This is low-hanging fruit, guys, because he was linebacker 10 last season. So he's already done it. He's already finished as a linebacker 1. Even at average points a game. So even if you put the guys ahead of him that got hurt, Quan Alexander, Deion Jones, he still was 15. And 2 more points a game puts him at linebacker 9. He only ranks so low in our rankings here, I think, maybe you guys did the same thing, is because he's playing next to Leighton Vander Esch, who even with less snaps, I think he had like 50 less snaps than Jalen Smith last season, finishes as a top 5 or 6 linebacker in our league. And so I think Jalen's more of the playmaker than Leighton is. So I don't think he's on the ball as much. But if there was a guy outside of the top 12 I had to pick, it'd be him because he's already done it. Word.
Yeah, I could see that happening too. I mean, I felt dirty for putting Jalen Smith so low in my personal rankings, and seeing him on that low in our overall rankings. Man, like, this is a guy that could finish as like a high end LB2 for sure, maybe an LB1. I mean, he's extremely productive. I mean, he's not as young as Van Der Esch, and he's not going to put up the numbers Van Der Esch will unless there's an injury. But I don't know. I get very excited when I think of him.
Ew. Hold on.
That's what she said.
Real quick. Remember a few weeks ago we had that Jalen Smith, Jordan Hicks debate in the group chat. I wish it weren't really a debate. It was just kind of like, hey, who would you guys pick? We have him literally. All of us have these guys 1 apart. So Isaac's got Jalen Smith 21, Jordan Hicks at 22. I've got Jalen Smith 19, Jordan Hicks at 18. Patrick, you've got Jalen Smith at 22 and Jordan Hicks at 23. So we're all literally have these guys right next to each other.
All right.
So I just thought that was
one more quick thing. When I did the stats out of what they would have been if they would have played full seasons, both of them, they would have finished with the exact same stats. So it's just crazy to think about.
Wow. It's crazy that during that section in the show, we just threw a name out of a guy we thought was close, and it's literally about as close as you could get.
Exactly.
Statistically speaking.
Like
from last
it was
year,
sacks, interceptions, just tackles, assists. Like it was very, very, very close.
Cool. Well, real quickly here, as we are a little behind on time.
I saw that.
Which one of our guys do we see falling out of the top 24? Pat, we'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'll be kind of quick with mine because he's a guy I'm not too excited about. Wesley Woodyard, 33 years old. He's the left inside linebacker in Tennessee. Also, on top of that, has only played a complete season twice in his entire career. And it's not like this guy, again, he's 33 years old. I know I bashed on Sammy Watkins for this, but Wesley Woodyard's even older and has only played 2 seasons. Like, that's it. That's crazy to think about. Finished number 27 last year, had 29.4 points per game. In fact, that was one of his better seasons on top of that. So again, not a guy I'm super excited about. I'm trying to remember exactly where I put him in my rankings. Let me go check this out real quick. I had him at 19. I felt like that was extremely generous. So number 20 overall, I could see that happening. I could see him falling even farther than that, which James, I know you were even harder on Wesley Woodyard than I was. So
yeah,
I can see that happening as well. James had him at 24.
24, barely an LB2. I'm not excited for Wesley Woodyard, for the same reasons that you said. Just very unimpressed. The year before he was fantastic. But yeah, I'm not excited. Sorry for laughing, by the way, Patrick. Isaac had something inappropriate in the show doc that he typed in.
Yes,
and I couldn't help but laugh.
Saw that. I was I felt like very professional. I was able to keep it together during all.
Yeah. No, I tried.
Patrick does that to me all the time. So he had a random bullet point with just a P. So I just went to town on that. But anyway, that's what he said. But anyway,
God no, I gotta bleep all that out. All right, Isaac, who do you got here, man?
All right, so real quick, Alec Ogletree, New York Giants left inside linebacker, had 5 interceptions last year, most among linebackers. He only averages typically 2 per season, so he will definitely not repeat the 5. For the past 2 seasons, he averages only 94 total tackles per year. He's among the top 50 linebackers that I missed together, like I've been talking about. The left inside linebacker position. Only 18% of the top 50 were there, second fewest, like I've already told you guys, and he was tied for the second lowest in points per game with 27.8 left inside linebackers are. So kind of just reaffirming with stats what I told you earlier, how you don't really pay attention for it in a 3-4, but yeah, left inside linebackers typically do not score as much as others.
You want to hear some of his games, Alec Ogletree? You guys want to hear
Do
some?
we have time for that?
Really quickly, yeah. 20,
Yeah,
14, 22, 23, 26, 23, 24, 29. It's just he had 2 boom games, 66 and 53, and then he had a game at 40. Other than that,
Did he have that against Tampa?
I don't remember. 66 was
probably.
week 13. I don't know who they were playing in week 13. But yeah, it's just, I mean, you're just not, even if you play him, you're like, 23 points. Okay. He finished a lot higher than he actually felt like he finished if you have him on your team last season. So
it's only 5 because there's 5 picks. If he wouldn't have got his normal 2, oh God, he would have dropped tremendously.
Yeah.
I mean, 23 points a game, you might as well start like a guy like Josh Norman, which is hard to even imagine rostering a guy like Josh Norman. But we're talking about rostering Alec Ogletree. So
yeah.
I don't know. Am I wrong for thinking that? Like it's kind of hard to
No,
imagine.
we've all got him low. I've got him at 20, and I feel like that's too high. I'm already kind of like a little gross. Like I threw up in my mouth a little bit looking at his stats and feeling like
What was his points per game again, Isaac?
31.4.
Yeah.
But
he had 31.
Again, you got to break. It's like the Kareem Jackson effect. You got to break these things down and look at them. And when you do that, you see 66, 53, and 40. Take those out, and you're at like
53.
24.
53 was against Tampa. I remember that because Bastard got 2 picks on us. And he had 66 against Chicago.
Yeah.
So just for you guys that were wondering.
Not excited.
All right. So Jameson, who you got?
The other guy.
I don't agree with this guy.
Another guy we're not excited about. Well, I'm not excited about. Isaac is in love with him because of what he did in 2017.
I'm not in love with him. I'm just saying, just like CJ Mosley, he just had a bad year. He wasn't on the field that much. This is a new scene, new coaching staff, new team. Should be different.
Okay. We're talking about Zach Brown. Zach Brown in Philadelphia. Finished as linebacker 39 last season. Linebacker 52 in average points a game. And he didn't get hurt. He didn't miss a single game. And he finished as linebacker 39. 11 of his 17 games, he scored below 22 fantasy points. 11 of his 17.
Yeah, he
gross.
He was
you can't
he was absolutely disappointing last year, especially with how high he was drafted.
68% of the Redskins snaps. So he wasn't in on a ton of snaps relative to other players, but there's got to be a reason for that because he wasn't injured. He wasn't on any of the injury lists. They just didn't feel the need to play him, and then they didn't sign him. They didn't try to re-sign him or anything. So there was obviously some concerns there. He failed the eye test. If you watched any of the Redskins games, and I watched for Zach Brown because I loved him in 2017. I wanted to draft him and didn't get him. So I would watch him. And he just looked like lethargic and slow, missing tackles.
Oh,
even
like
when he was
Patrick
out there, it was like
in rugby.
Oh, yeah, it looked like Patrick playing linebacker.
Yeah, right.
Got him.
And here's one more thing: is he's in Philadelphia. Philadelphia was number 4 in opponent time of possession, meaning that the defense wasn't on the field as often as a defense like the Redskins, who were 19, I believe, in opponent time of possession. I can double check that real quick. Yes, they were 19. So there's going to be less opportunity on a team like Philadelphia, I believe. So he's just not a guy that I'm not excited about, that I would pass on, even though he falls in those rankings. So,
all right. Well, you want to go on our last rankings?
Cool. Linebacker threes here. Got Guys, I just realized I made a mistake.
I was waiting for you to say
I what did I do?
I don't know.
What did
I
I
don't
do?
What?
I forgot. So he's not a linebacker too, and I'm talking about him like a linebacker too. Okay. So here's the story. Here's the story.
I thought I was the only one. I didn't say anything because I was like,
I saw
no,
that.
no,
I'm
no.
like, oh shit!
Here's
I
the-
don't want to
Here's the
interrupt
story,
him.
guys. He was a linebacker too. He was linebacker 24. Literally 45 minutes ago, before we took Mason Foster out of our rankings and redid everything. So now he's linebacker 25. So he got bumped to linebacker 3. So with that being said, I'm just gonna say Zach Brown. I'm not confident about him. He definitely gets moved to the linebacker 3, and I'll just skip my category on the next one, which is also Zach Brown. Because the rankings got a little messed up there at the end. So we'll figure it out.
I think you deleted a section that you didn't want to, and you duplicated the Zach.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I did. So I apologize for that. So with that being said, linebacker 3's up on the screen here. 25 is Zach Brown. 26 is Zach Cunningham. 27 Todd Davis. 28 KJ Wright. 29 Eric Kendricks. 30 Patrick Onwasor. 31 Danny Trevathan. 32 Jerry Davis. 33 John Bostic. 34 Jermaine Pratt. 35 Raekwon McMillan. And 36 Shaq Thompson. So guys, these are linebacker 3s. Most of these guys should be available. Isaac, is there anyone here that you don't even want, even if they kind of fell to you in the draft? You're just kind of thinking of skipping them?
Yeah, Raekwon McMillan, middle linebacker for Miami. 2018 was his rookie year. Played all 16 games. He has not shown any ability that he can make big plays. No interceptions, no sacks. Only 5 tackles for loss out of 105 total tackles. That shows me you have no burst. You're just waiting for them to run to you. He only had 1 pass deflection. I mean, it's just ugly. Kiko Alonso will get most of the tackles from the linebacker position next year. New head coach is the old Patriots defensive coordinator, and typically those middle linebackers are not fantasy relevant. I.e., 2018, the only one that was Kyle Van Noy, who was barely relevant. He was like 24 points per game, so he's just a guy I don't want at all.
Yeah, he only 3 games over 30 points last season. So, in fact, he was on the waiver wire quite a bit, and there were times I thought about picking him up, and every week I was just like, ugh, and I wouldn't get him when I looked at him. And I mean, his numbers bear that out. So, very, very unimpressive. So, all right, Pat, what about you, man? You've got a guy here that you're not.
Yeah. So my guy that I'm definitely not enthusiastic about is Jermaine Pratt, right outside linebacker for
In your
for
face,
the Cincinnati
Jameson.
Spent a
Bengals.
9th round pick on him. God. And he'll play because there's no talent on that roster, on that defense. But go ahead, Pat.
He's got it.
We'll
He's
see.
got him ranked at
Because
26,
right now-
and me and Patrick got him ranked at 40 and 41. So
Yeah, don't even have him as an LB3. And part of the reason he's still slated as the number 2 right outside linebacker on the depth chart right now. I'm not that does worry me going into training camp. Obviously that could change because they spent give it a draft capital on him to draft him in the NFL draft.
I think it was like a 3rd round. It wasn't too much, but it was enough where you would have to start him a couple games.
But this isn't just a Jermaine Pratt thing. It is a Cincinnati Bengal thing in the sense that the highest performer the Bengals have produced since 2015 was Vontaze Burfict in 2015, where he finished 27th among LBs.
Burst it. It's perfect.
I say Burfict. That's how I like to say it.
Okay, I thought that
But,
was a typo when I looked at it.
No. Anyways, no. He again, like if that's the best you're throwing out there on the field for the past 3 years, that's scary to me. Like that does worry me about Jermaine Pratt. And history just shows on top of that, rookie LBs just don't typically produce great numbers. And so again, that's another reason why I'm worried about Jermaine Pratt. I know right now rookie LBs are extremely hot in IDP leagues, not just our league. It's most IDP leagues out there. That's right. And it's because of
Like
last
your
year's
mama.
production that we saw out of Van Der Esch and Darius Leonard. And people tend to jump the gun. They automatically start assuming, well, happened last year, why can't it happen this year? Which is, reasonable philosophy. But when it doesn't ever happen, ever,
It happens 1 year. And
there's reason. Yeah. So
Well, I think it was the fact that it happened 1 year, but it was so many guys. Darius Leonard, Roquan Smith, Leighton Van Der Esch, Tremaine Edmonds. But yeah, you're right. I think there is a reactive component to rookie linebackers.
I mean, that was probably
season.
one of the golden ages of rookie linebackers in league history for the past decade. I mean, you go back and look, I don't know if we've seen that many rookie LBs explode like that before.
I don't remember any.
No, but Pat, you're right. You're right about the Cincinnati linebacking core. I think being a concern, the safeties had a lot of tackles, but this defense should be on the field a lot.
They should.
Like they were last season, 31st. I'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, you're right. He is a rookie. He is still a backup, even though I think he'll get some playing time. But 26 is too high. Like I said, we did these rankings a little while ago, and I think redoing them today, I'd probably have him in the low 30s. But yeah, I could definitely see him falling out.
All right, Pat.
As well.
Last section.
Well, wait. Let me tell you about Zach Brown real quick, because that's who I've got here.
I deleted him, so you weren't talking about him again.
Yeah, no, that was supposed to be my Zach Brown spot. I don't even know who was supposed to be my other slot. I think it might have been Ogletree or someone else that I didn't like, but you guys talked about him. So, we'll just we'll skip my spot here and go straight to Patrick. Are there any guys? So, okay, we've covered linebacker 1, 2, 3s. Any guys outside of those that you think might finish higher, might outperform their ranking and fall into one of those slots?
Yeah, I'm going to say a guy that I guarantee you the majority of people listening to the show right now have not a name even on the radar, but a guy that should be on everyone's radar. I said a guy, so hey.
Surprise.
So it's the starting right inside linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, Oren Burks. Just so you know,
projected
Blake
starter.
Martinez has been the starting right inside linebacker.
No, Blake Martinez has been the left. He's been that way for years.
He's been doing a lot of both,
but mostly left.
Oren Burks, I don't think so. Based
Dude,
on research
I did the
he's been
research on
mostly
that.
Right.
I promise. He did.
I don't know. Anyways, again, so this is a guy that he's in a spot. There's no depth behind him. There's no reason he shouldn't. Everything that you look at this guy, he is the more athletic linebacker between him and Blake Martinez, which I love the aspect of that. I know the Packers haven't produced two solid inside linebackers since the 2009 to 2010 era when you had A.J. Green and Nick Barnett together. So it's been a while. I know statistically speaking, odds are against us there. But dude, Green Bay didn't draft a middle linebacker till the 7th round. That shows me that they have some confidence in Oren Burks. They have some sort of confidence. Otherwise, it wouldn't be talking about putting this guy in the starting lineup week in, week out. And again, his athleticism is great. He has a ton of raw talent. It's just finessing that and refining that into a legitimate starting linebacker will be the challenge. And I'm sure we're going to see more of that during training camp this year. So be sure to follow this guy. He's someone that's on my radar for sure. I know in the later rounds, it can be extremely explosive. And if Blake Martinez goes down, Oren Burks automatically is racking up even more tackles. So again, a guy that should be on your radar, but don't overpay for him. I'm not saying you should get him in the first 6 rounds or anything crazy. Definitely a guy you want to look at towards the back end of the draft, but a guy that can pay off for sure.
Oh my God, Pat, that was 10 minutes.
So real quick, you're gonna draft him, Pat?
What? What'd you say?
Real quick, how many weeks before he's on a roster in the LCC? How many weeks?
I mean, I may roster him if I'm able to draft him. So I don't know.
So draft day, basically.
I may draft him. Yeah, I mean, he could be drafted.
So draft day?
I may draft him.
Wow.
I mean,
jeez.
Look at this year's draft pool and tell me you wouldn't look at this guy in round 13 or later. You know?
Yeah, but those guys will typically make your roster. I mean, what I meant was like is he a roster on day one, or how many weeks until he's on a roster?
It depends. Like if it's a guy like Jade who's drafting him who needs linebackers, yeah, Oren Burks could definitely make his roster for sure. Me, my dad, even you guys, like it's hard to say if he'll make the roster because we already have a good amount of depth there,
I only
or
got
at
one.
least solid guys. Yeah, so I mean, who knows? Maybe Isaac gets him. I doubt it, but
That's why Isaac's going Joe Schobert in round one.
I don't want his ass.
But you only got one, so you got no choice.
I only have to start one, so I don't need two because I got four.
Yeah, right.
I got like 7 DBs. I just need one more linebacker, and I'm good.
And only 3 or 4 of those are going to make your roster. The other ones are just wasted picks.
Well, they were late picks anyway. But anyway, enough talk about Oren Burks. I'll talk about my guy real quick because I know we're running late as usual. But Nardrick McKinney, left inside linebacker for Houston. 2018, he finished 16 games, finished LB 31 with 24.6 points per game. 2017, he played all 16, finished linebacker 33 with 22.1 points per game. He's consistent. I mean, 31 and 18, 33 and 17. You know what you get out of the 5-year vet. He's going to finish linebacker 30 or later. He's going to average between 22 and 26 points per game. Not a player I would draft personally, but he definitely could surprise us all with outperforming our consensus of 40 or over.
I agree. I think for the first time on this show, I'm like, Isaac, I agree with everything you just said. That's a spot on. That's exactly what I think about Nardrick McKinney.
Boom. All right, Jameson. Wrap her up.
Boom. All right, guys, we're going to bring it home here. I've got Preston Brown's the guy that could climb into the top 3, Cincinnati linebacker. The reason for this, he only played seven games last season. 3 of them, it's always happened. He still finished with 31-plus points. He is a starting linebacker on that roster on a defense that should be on the field a lot. They were 31st in opponent time of possession last season, which means only the Arizona Cardinals had the other team's defense or had their defense on the field more often than the Cincinnati Bengals. So if he could stay healthy, there should be a lot of opportunity for him. Patrick kind of talked about, there's a linebacking core that has almost no talent on it. And there'll be teams running the ball on them a lot. You know, they're going to be down. So I think this is a guy that could.
They're going to be up, you mean? They're going to be up and running the ball. Well,
the Bengals are going to be down. The other teams will be running the ball on them. So I think this is a guy who has a lot of opportunity if he can stay healthy and could climb into that LB3 category pretty easily, given that status and everything. So
real quick, when I think of Preston Brown, I think of a addition in the season, just like an add drop. Like he's a guy that he might show up a couple games, and he's definitely going to be picked up at some point during the or maybe the offseason. Maybe he's drafted, but I know if he's not, he'll definitely be picked up at some point during the season when he's playing because he is. He does play well when he's on the field if he's not hurt.
Yeah, he'll be rostered for sure pretty early, I think. All right, guys, that's it. Any other thoughts, Pat? Close out?
No. Nothing really. We got the draft coming up in a few weeks, so hope everyone's doing a little bit of research, getting excited, and that's pretty much it. Nothing else on the timetable besides, take that back. We do have the player nominations for Hall of Fame, so go ahead and, again, keep thinking about that because I think we have another week, maybe 2 weeks.
Jameson,
join us next. Yeah, what?
Tell us what we're going to do next week.
Isaac, I was just going to say that, buddy. Join us next week for DB rankings. We're going to be discussing the top 50, I think.
Hell no.
36.
36.
Just 36. Okay. I think we ranked like 50, then we break it down to the top 36. So we'll be discussing that next week on that show. And guys, we're heading toward the draft. So we're going to be doing some pre-draft discussion. We're going to be finalizing some of our thoughts on your rosters. We've got one more LCC Fantasy 4 episode to do.
Garbage.
We're excited, man. We're super excited. It's closing in on the season. We don't have many more of these before the season starts. And I'm really excited you guys have stuck with us through the offseason. So we look forward to next week. We'll talk about DBs and then And we got quarterbacks, some other stuff too. So we got a jam-packed schedule heading to the draft. So with that, guys, we will see you next week. Take it easy.
POP, hold it down.
What does that mean? POP?
What?
Does
I don't
Isaac
even
know?
It's from a video. It's a viral video of somebody getting arrested, and she was like, POP, hold it down.
Oh, God. All right, see you guys.